Hello, everyone, and welcome again to All Things Brunswick. Tonight we have with us a very special guest who you have seen in the past on our show. We have missed him and am very happy to have him back tonight to talk to us about some of the interests that he is doing, some of the things that I am interested in. He is the Brunswick County Chair of the Republican Party, Bill Moore.
It's good to be back again. And there's those cheers again coming from the outside. All those people screaming and yelling, rah, 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 or kick
That's
him in
right.
the knee, rah, rah, ras, kick him in the other knee. And
No.
I was being good now. This is a family show, so we did neat.
It is a family show, but I'm so happy you're here, Bill.
It's good to be back and sitting here in Brunswick
see
County
you.
and talking to you
Yeah.
again, Mayor.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've been busy.
Is not the
and
word.
I know. Standing on your head.
8 balls in the air. When I get to 9, I've got the trouble. But I can do 8 so far.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have some concerns for our county, and especially the area that you live in.
Yeah, Leland.
Yeah, and it seems that they are discussing an increase in their taxation. So,
That's
how do
like
you
being
feel about
almost
that?
pregnant.
Yeah.
An increase in taxation. No. First of all, if you let me build some background to this
Absolutely,
first.
please
You
do.
need to understand that in the town of Leland, they've never seen a tax increase or a piece of property they haven't liked to try to annex. So there's a problem in the town. If you go back about 6 months ago, the major battle was to try to stop them from setting up a ballpark and borrowing $100 million to do it. You remember the county turned the idea down as it wasn't feasible, but the town of Leland tried to live with it. So there was a number of us up there that organized, and this is not the party. This is just people living up there.
Right.
And we went to talk to them, and we have them put it on hold. We haven't gotten rid of it yet, but it's on hold. Okay, and that's a problem because they decided they couldn't do a referendum because they knew it wouldn't win, so they were going to go out and borrow $100 million. Then, in addition to that, they're trying to build a new government center, if you want, or a new government building for another $20 million. And they only built one 10 years or so ago.
I know, I was just going to say, don't they have a fairly new one?
They do, and they want to put in more offices that are empty. So you know what that means? They have to fill the seats. So somewhere down the road, they're going to hire more people again. Leland spending, unfortunately, is out of control. Now, as the chairman of the party, just so you understand, all seats in municipals are unaffiliated, so we're not taking sides, Republican
Right.
or Democrat.
Right.
And which gives me a little more latitude than I would otherwise. And what's happening, we started working with some local people, and I'm not in charge of the operation. I'm just a piece of the cog that's working there, and it's kind of been my desire, and the board's been kind of working with me, our board, that we need to get more involved locally and municipally, not just at the state and county level and the national level. If politics is local, then the municipals, you can't get any more local.
Exactly.
So we need to get involved.
I agree.
So we're working on that issue. The money issue started rolling, just to get some history on it. 2 years ago, they got a 25% round figure tax increase on property tax. Okay.
Right.
Last year, the county reassessed everybody. The county kept it minimal. Most of us in Leland hit with a 40% plus tax bump.
Wow.
Some got as high as 50. Okay, tax bump from the town of Leland, because what they did is they didn't want to adjust it, make it revenue neutral, so they knocked 1 or 2 pennies off instead of 10.
Wow.
So they picked up a major bump in money last year, and then they started this year with a proposal for a 70% tax increase. Yes, 70%. That was their initial budget recommendation. So the people, rightly so, filled up their room and flew out to they just all over the place. Enough is enough. And the last thing I saw, and I think they put it in place, is a 17% tax increase.
For what reason? What is the reason for this huge tax increase?
Cars, new buildings, fire truck pieces. Pick all the things that it's nice to have, but we already have them.
Exactly.
And A fire truck is good for 25 or 30 years. We don't have hit those numbers yet, but we need a new fire truck or two. Expanding the police department, more cars for the police department. Now, there's a piece of that I might understand. This $20 million building is a boondoggle, because once you build a building that's empty, you're going to fill it, which means more people working there. Leland has about 29,000 voters, I think is the number. And we're not happy. And as I listen to the people, the board of Leland, I think I figured out what they're doing. Okay, if you live in Wilmington or you're going down to Myrtle Beach, those are what we call destination places.
Right.
People stop there, they want to go there, they want to do whatever's there. Brunswick County is basically a pass-through place. Any place in Brunswick. You stop for gas, you may get lunch or dinner. If you keep going, you head into one of those two major places if you're traveling, okay? They want to make Leland a destination place.
It isn't already?
No.
No.
It's a pass-through. I mean, there's no major, they wanted the ball field.
I see.
So they want to make it a destination place where people want to come and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The ball field itself was a 1,300-acre donation, and it was going to be right in the heart of Brunswick Forest and some of the areas around it, touching it. And you were going to do 80 ball games a year at an independent league, and then you were going to do 200 concerts or more, which is noise, lights, and some of the homes were 30. Yeah, traffic even got to traffic. Some of the homes are between 1,500 and 2,200 feet from the place.
Oh my word!
So, now I'm not anti-growth. Please understand that. My suggestion, which no one at this point wants to listen to, put an enclosed center there. I mean, build like a Wilson Center, or something you've got down there, Barefoot Landing with the Alabama or the so they can have their events to draw people to, but the noise is greatly cut back. The sound, you got the noise, you got the lights, they're all cut back greatly, and you can still do that. Then understood.
Each one of these municipalities has a noise ordinance.
Yeah.
In my city, it's 10 o'clock. Past that.
In Leland, it's 11, I believe.
Well, still, if you're going to have a huge concert with a lot of people, I don't think that it's going to end at 11.
No, and nor do I think the noise and the honking and everything else is going to end either.
Exactly, and you've got all that noise afterwards with people leaving, traffic, and I don't know about you, but when I go out like that afterwards, I want to go somewhere and get something to eat.
And that was the other thing. They said when they put the ballpark in, for example, they were going to surround it with high-priced stores and a big hotel. And, someone said there, look, anybody in the room ever been to a ball game? What's around the ball game? Hot dog places, bars, whatever. That's what's traditionally there.
Yeah.
You're not going to put in on Newman Marcus and
No.
one of the big hotel chains. You might have one close enough, but they just didn't see it, and they still don't see it. They're unfortunately a problem with the elected leadership there. Now, the people in the town, a good slice of them anyway, have actually petitioned our state legislature to get recall.
Wow.
Okay, now, there is a bill that was introduced by Representative Eiler. The makings of the bill basically would put it on the November ballot this year if it gets approved in the short session. And then if that's passed, they would get a 25% voters sign up. They could recall anybody on the town council. Now, unfortunately, and I've spoke to some of the people, they said, we want 10%. I said, no. Too easy to do 10%.
Yeah.
If you got a major issue, then 25% you shouldn't have a big deal getting to. So, but Frank Eiler did respond to the people, and there is a bill sitting there now to try and basically do what I talked about, put it in front of the referendum in November, and then if it passes, they would be able to they could actually recall all 5 next year rather than 2.
And I don't think that has ever happened in Brunswick County.
To my knowledge, no.
No, never.
But
wow.
So, and now whether it passes or not, it's a local bill, which we know doesn't require the governor's signature,
Right.
but it still requires both houses.
Yeah.
And, there are some people that are looking and saying, you already have a way to get rid of them. It's called an election every 2 years. So I understand where they're coming from, but this is a peculiar case with these 5.
Sure.
And we'll see what plays. But
And I believe that some of these folks have been in office for a while.
some of them have been. It's interesting. The mayor there is the only one that voted against the budgets,
Wow.
and she became independent and unaffiliated. But she knows better. But the rest, you go to a meeting with them, they give you they sit there.
That's sad.
You know, it's also sad when you talk at their meetings, they're so afraid of the public that when the meeting is over, for example, I went to talk to somebody and I walked up, I was followed by a policeman. Every time anybody walked up to talk to the council people, and they have more than one policeman in that room, there's a half a dozen around the room, and you go up there and a Leland police officer, they're polite, there's not an issue with that, but they follow you right up there to make sure you're not doing something evil. Which
Oh,
is
I
taxpayers.
hate hearing that.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of that either, but
No.
I guess I'm intimidating. I guess, me, little sweet, kind, lovable, quiet me.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the high notes with the town of Leland, which I'm sure will play very well in Peoria maybe, but not necessarily in Brunswick.
That is very unfortunate because I know that when I moved here in 1994, Leland was fields of corn and trees and whatnot. There wasn't a building or a business or anything on 17. If you wanted to go to Leland, you had to go down into the little town. And that wasn't as big as it is now.
Or the old part of Leland, as they
Yeah.
refer to it now.
Yeah.
And then you got the other side, which is the Brunswick Forest, Magnolia Greens.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, from just 4 years ago, I moved in 4 years ago, okay, and 4
Right.
years this month. When I arrived, and for those of you that know Leland, there's a big water tower on Brunswick
Yep.
Park. I'm behind the water tower. My back of the house faces the water tower. We were saying this is great because there's nothing but grass on either side of the water tower, and behind us was just we felt wetlands, and nothing was going to happen. We got another row of houses. Since in those 4 years, they have planted several thousand homes to be and actually be in construction now, and they're still growing as far as you can go.
Yep.
So
I
growth
know
is happening.
When you drive down through Leland now on 17, it's just absolutely incredible. The before and after will just blow your mind. But I can totally understand why this group is questioning all of this. I feel that it wasn't that long ago that they got a new building for their city offices,
it's only about 10 years or so old.
and I don't believe it's full.
That I don't have an answer to.
I don't think they have.
But I do know the new building would hold another, I believe they said something like 60 new bodies or the equivalent of 60 new people working there. So I'm not sure what they need to do.
Wow. I guess they're anticipating a lot of growth.
Well, I can understand the police department getting bigger to do what they need to do, and they're a good department. They run very well. It's just a matter that they're not responding to the people, And if their goal is to be a destination city, and the people's goal is not to be, and that's pretty much what most of us are saying. We don't want to be a destination. We just want people to drive through.
Exactly. Now, what exactly do they need to make themselves a destination city?
A big event place, like a Wilson Center, like a baseball field, where people want to come to that site particular.
I see.
So they
So
need
they
they need a draw.
They would drive down from Raleigh to Leland to go to a concert or go to a game.
Ball field, or something along that vein, and they'd spend a night or two, and have their dinners and whatever else, and they'd eventually go home. You see, one of the other goals they figured in when having lived on a beach community for a number of years, there's a pattern in the weeks people visiting, and I lived next to them. I watched them for years coming in. They arrive on Saturday and Sunday, and Monday is usually the beach. Okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe Thursday, they're out running around doing things because the
Right.
beach gets old. Then Friday, they're back on the beach before they're leaving Saturday.
Yeah.
So those middle days, they're trying to get those beach people to come to activities.
I see.
So, and they're thinking there's a natural group there because 3 days a week they're looking to do something other than the beach, and maybe 4 if it's Monday, excuse me. So they figure there's a natural group there in the summer, And then if they can draw even more people to their sites, and I don't disagree because, like I said, I lived at Curie Beach for years, and I watched the, as I called them, the terrorists coming in, but they're actually, I'm sorry I didn't say that. Yes, I did. And they would come in, and the pattern was the same. The first 3 days, they head to the beach. They love the beach. Then they're off doing things. Then they close down at the beach because they're leaving Saturday morning.
So with this influx of, say, an event center, there will be more traffic, even more than there is now. And do they have enough motels to deal with everyone?
They're hoping, for example, baseball fields, you're going home at night.
I see.
For the most part, you're going home at night. If it's a
Okay.
concert, there are some hotels in the area. They are looking. One of the long-range plans is a very expensive hotel going in the area around them. So,
Okay.
if it's there, it's there. Some people would sleep in cars. I mean, you're going to a concert, you spend overnight. I've slept in a car a couple times waiting to buy tickets.
Sure,
So,
yeah. But I have to say, Leland is not a shopping area.
no, not really.
They really don't have. Charlotte has more shops than Leland does.
Absolutely. And one of the things we talk about up there, we're getting more and more fast food places.
Yes. Yes.
But there are not a lot of good quality restaurants. You can go sit down and have a nice. There's a few, There's Cape Fear Seafood. There's the Christopher's, and there's a couple others up there that are good restaurants.
Yep.
But for the most part, what you're pulling
It's
in now
fast
is
food.
you're pulling in fast food. Drive up, grab it, and go home.
Yep.
And some of the people up there, a lot of us, are looking for places to go out to dinner and sit and talk.
Exactly.
So again, they're not
Yep.
thinking of what's going. They're not thinking about the groups.
And you still have to drive to shop if you want to go to some reputable shops. They have Walmart.
We have a Walmart. We now have a Lowe's.
Yes, you have a Lowe's, you have a Walmart, you have a Dollar Tree. You have some small specialty shops.
Not a lot, but there are a couple.
Yep,
Most of the places are food places.
exactly.
Or a 7-Eleven gas type operation where you
Right.
get gas and a little
Yep.
store with it that you can pick up a quick bite to eat in and get it out of there.
Yep.
That's what mostly Leland looks like.
And 2 thrift stores. You do. You have Salvation Army and Goodwill.
Yes, we do, and they're
Yeah.
not too far from each other.
Exactly.
But yeah, and they do their jobs.
But there's no Marshalls or
yeah, we just got a Mrs. Chicks. Is that the term of it now?
yeah.
So we just got one of those that moved in,
Yeah.
and now there's a big thing going on because we're supposed to be this month. They're opening up a everything bunts or nothing but bunts chain. It's all bunt cakes.
Oh, really?
It's called Nothing But Bunks, I think. Bunts is what I
Okay.
believe they call themselves, and they're going in this month.
So, because you really don't have a bakery there.
We have Bernie's.
You do have Bernie's. I was just going to say he just recently opened up there.
We have that Bernie's, and God bless that place because and there's a free commercial for you, Bernie's.
Yeah. Well, they're wonderful.
Yes, they are.
And he's wonderful. So I have no objection to talking about Bernie's.
And we do have a lot of medical up there now.
Well, that was another thing besides banks.
Banks we got plenty of. We
Oh
have no
my
shortage
goodness!
of banks. We
It
have-
seems like every block you have a bank.
Yep. And now you've got the big Emerge Ortho building they just went in.
Right.
Now they just opened up Wilmington Eye, which is another massive
Yep.
building.
Yep.
And then down the far end, they put in an elderly retirement system. That whole system is opened up for independent to assisted living.
So that huge area that they have built apartments like that is all assisted.
It's all in that Brunswick Forest complex.
Okay.
It's all part of that big operation. They lost the. There's also they lost the Irish pub that was there. That closed down and went away. Now it's now become a Mexican restaurant, and that's either just opened or will about to open.
Wow.
So that's gone on. There's also there's another famous Mexican restaurant, and that's opening up right next to Wilmington. They're building it literally, so that's in the building stages. And
Okay.
Pizzetta's, which is great
Yeah.
pizza. Now that's where the economy kicks in. You talk about it because they had gotten clearance to build a freestanding because they're in part of a chain right there, in part of a building. But they're holding off on the building because of the costs.
Oh, wow.
You know, borrowing that money is just phenomenal to build to put a
Yes.
freestanding up. So, and their business is doing fine. You know,
Oh, they're wonderful. They
the
are.
pizza is tremendous.
Yeah.
There's another plug there, Pizzetta's Pizza.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all these people that want to send free plugs in for money, we don't turn those things down. But the Pizzetta's Pizza is phenomenal.
Yeah, I like that place very much.
And I'm sure the Falcones will be calling me because they're the ones next to Christopher's. And why aren't you talking about my pizza? So you can't win on this one at all.
We have one of those in Southport as well. So,
But it's Leland's a growing town.
It's got different kinds of businesses.
And it's very different than Shiloh and Calabash down there because you're right. There are a lot of little shops. I mean, we went down and I finally got to tour Callahan's.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and it
it's
cost me a lot of money when I
wonderful. Of course.
I unfortunately took my wife into Callahan's, which was a major blunder.
Oh, yeah, you can't go in there without spending money. That is the most extraordinary store.
It is.
It really is.
It is phenomenal, and you just walk around there, and every time you think you're done, there's a new branch opening up, and it was very expensive to have my wife go down there. We went for dinner to the restaurant behind it, and then
Boundary House?
Yes.
Yes.
And then on the way out, Wanda said, "That place looks like a Christmas place." And then it was Christmas, and then it was this, and then it was beach, and then it was this, and then it was that, and then you kept working you around a giant L, and it seemed like the place didn't end.
Oh,
and
it's
nor did
wonderful.
the case I was carrying that she bought things. So let's take one of these and one of these. I
Well,
can't afford the savings.
That is that is a place that you could spend. That is an outing.
Oh,
all
yeah.
in itself.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, just go there and spend the day and just have a great
And you
time.
can go and you can buy some food in there too.
Sure.
They have they have
Yes.
snacks in there if you
Yep.
want to get snacks,
Yep.
or you can go outside locally and see what's going on around it.
Right.
The other thing that costs me a lot of money now is we go to into Southport to the smart store, the card store, smart card.
Oh, Card Smart.
Card Smart. Oh, yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
And
And,
they have-
party time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
my wife has a great time in there too. Yeah. Last week I did something down here. Saturday I was here doing selling some of the stuff, and we went to church because we go to church there now. And
Yep.
in Southport it's Sacred Heart, and
Card
which
Smart's
is for
just down the
you-
street.
Yes, as she knows. So she said, "I will pick you up from there, and we have time to go to Card Smart,
Yeah.
and we're going to look for a couple of cards that we needed." And of course, I didn't need the flag, which I wanted to buy, and other things I didn't realize I needed.
She has some very unique stuff in there.
Oh, she does.
She is a excuse me, she is a resident of Boiling Spring Lakes.
Is she? That I didn't
Yes,
know.
and she has been there for quite some time.
And they're very nice. You can stay there forever.
Yep. Yep.
And every time you turn, there's something else that you think about. So I get my wife in and out of there as soon as possible, which is not always as possible as I'd like to. But anyway, moving right along from my shopping sprees. But Brunswick,
So, what does this this group that you are involved with? What are your plans to, what take care of this issue, so to speak?
well, they're hoping that the legislature passes the bill,
Okay.
which would, and again, it takes both houses, doesn't take the governor. And then if it is passed, then they have to work on getting the referendum passed in November. And then they may recall, there'll be 2 of them up, I believe, for election normally. And I think they could recall up to 5
So 2 of them are up for re-election in
in 25.
25.
And so
okay.
then they could recall more than that if they choose to. So,
And they are board members. They have 5 board members. Okay. So when you sit on a board in a municipality, that is a 4-year term.
yes. And they rotate 2 and 3 every 2 years.
Yep.
So it's 2 and the mayor.
Okay.
So, but maybe some of them will see the light, and before it gets time to see it, and they change their minds, and they don't have to remove them. But at this point, they're not seeing. I'm a big fan of. I don't know if you know what zero-based budgeting is.
Yes.
Okay, I'm a big fan of zero-based budgeting. Don't
Right.
just start with how much did you spend last year and how much do you need over it. You start from square one. I have nothing. I need X number of people, why, and what defends me having X number of people,
Exactly.
and then the materials that go with it. And you build a budget from square one. And if every level did that, we would start looking at what we really need and not the assumption, which our feds are great at. I was in the military for a lot of years, and, one of the things they used to go crazy about, we called it Project Green Streak. For 10 months of the year, you begged, borrowed, and to get people to send you repair parts to fix things on your budget. Then in the last 2 months, Green Streak started because they had to spend all the money because they couldn't get extra money next year if they hadn't spent what they had this year.
Exactly.
So I used to
Sounds
keep
like insurance.
I used to keep a bunch of recs sitting on my desk, ready to roll.
Yeah.
And as soon as they announced the money, someone was walking them over and throwing them in the systems. We weren't taking any chances. So, and then for 2 months you lived like fat and happy, and then when all was over, you go back to, can I really have that part? Will you give me the money to do that? And
Yeah.
But and unfortunately, they need a zero-based also because no one has really audited the Pentagon in too many years. And I'm pro-military, but there's a lot of waste in a lot of places.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And we need at all levels to go in and what we need to pay for, we need to pay for. But when we're just throwing money away, we
That's
need to
wrong.
save that money. Because it's coming from somebody. There's no such thing as free money.
No, and we have folks in these communities who can't afford that.
No.
They don't have that extra money to throw away.
And this inflation is killing them.
Yes, it is. So given the fact that we are in the grip of one of the worst inflations ever, in my opinion, what a terrible time to even suggest this increase. I mean,
But it's, again, not listening to the people. The attitude
Exactly.
in Leland, and you got to remember, as all these houses that are being built open up, that's more money coming in. They're getting taxes. So it's not that they haven't got a flow of dollars coming anyway.
Yeah.
But they have this goal to build something, and that's in their mind. And unfortunately, the people don't want it, and they have to listen.
Yeah.
And they have to realize that the money is not, you can't go spending other people's money willy-nilly. And especially, if the numbers as well as I do. In Brunswick, we're 1/3 retired, 65 or over, which means they're living on pensions.
And that is called fixed income.
Yep. And trust me, that doesn't go up as quick as inflation.
No, it does not. And on that note, we're going to break and pay a couple bills. So please stay with us.
Yep.
What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everybody, to All Things Brunswick. Today, our guest is Bill Moore. He's the chair of the Brunswick County Republican Party, and we are discussing issues in the municipality in which he lives. And I think that we're going to go on and discuss maybe something that applies to every single person in our country. How do you feel, Bill, about what has happened this week?
Something happened this week?
Well, to Donald Trump, for instance, we all know that he was.
Does the word railroaded fit into this any place?
I like that word. I like that word a lot. Yeah, I was trying to come up with a good description, and that does it very well. So, and how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the judgment that was reached?
Or more importantly, the judgment that's going to happen on the 11th, which is the
Yeah.
real issue.
Right.
I think it was a show from square one. They designed this was going to happen this way. Nothing was going to change it. And I've been following the trial fairly closely.
Yes.
But when you tell the defense that they can't put certain witnesses on to prove that there was no election fraud, you know, you're influencing how it's going.
You're building it.
You know, now there's also some obvious cases, and I wasn't in the court, but from what everybody's saying, that the judge treated both sides differently as far as attitude.
Right.
You know, that's quite possible, though I can't verify that myself. The other issue was, again, the judge's daughter. And I heard numbers anywhere from $50 to $100 million on campaign, which she's working to raise for the Democratic Party. The judge, you know, I have a very interesting philosophy or thought on the judge, which is different from a lot of people, okay? The judge is not a stupid man, okay? Now, I grant you, he didn't like Trump, and that was obvious. And Trump earned some of it with the way he talked about him. And, you know, Trump doesn't always talk nice about people, if you haven't heard yet. But I really think he purposely went out of his way to be reversed. That way it's not his fault. Now it belongs to the next level court, that the Court of Appeals, and wherever it's going to end up, that reverses this decision. So he can say, oh, look, I tried. He was done. He was convicted, but the Court of Appeals is the one that turned him free. Remember, he's got to live there in an area that's 96% Democrat and hard Democrat.
Right.
So I think he purposely did what he did to the long term. So he's not the evil person in the world. He's not going to be the one that they're going to nail to a cross. Or,
You could be absolutely right. That is a great thought.
I just, you know, I was sitting the other day thinking about it. I'm going, why would anybody go out and do this, knowing that the world's watching everything you do, and you purposely go out of your way so that people can see you're biased or your actions are biased, okay? The only one reason, because you want to be reversed, and therefore you're off the hook.
Yep. You could be right.
Well, we'll know.
Yes, we
We'll
will.
know whenever.
Yep.
Whenever the Court of
11th.
Appeals gets to it.
No, that's true. Yeah. And I'm sure that they are going to appeal.
Oh, they already announced it.
Yeah.
But I think they have to wait until after the sentencing. I think if I remember correctly, they have 30 days from the sentencing to appeal.
Right.
So that's going to be July 11th, which means it'll be August before you have till August, whatever, 10th or 11th to appeal.
And honest to goodness, they're famous for dragging and dragging and dragging.
Oh. Just because, and then you appeal, it's got to go to a judge. You know, with all probability, unless someone expedites this, decisions for the appeal will happen after the election.
Right.
You know, so the results are going to be in where you go there. Because don't forget, the Democrats want him labeled as a convicted felon, which he is right now. Now, whether they want him in jail or not, I don't think they're that stupid, at least most of them. There are some that would love to put him away in jail.
Yep, there are.
But there are some of them that realize that that would be death and destruction for this country if he ever went to jail. You know, I could see, and I'm not advocating violence by any shape or the form, but there are a lot of people already upset to hear with what's going on, and you jail that man, and their answer is going to be, if a billionaire cannot defend himself, what chance do I have?
Exactly. And how do you think people would react? That frightens me. We could have another civil war.
That's what I'm afraid is going to happen.
Yes.
You know, and you know, what's going to be interesting is, if you think about it, 2024, no matter who wins, there's going to be trouble.
Yes.
Because we know that when Trump won in 2020, there was cities were burning.
Yes.
They had every kind of, that's one side. And if he gets beat again, I'm not too sure that the other side is not going to react in a similar fashion. Okay, so again, I'm not advocating it. I'm just analyzing what I see out there, and I'm afraid for the country because we're
am
that
too.
close of dissolving.
Yes. I believe that it's unfortunate because they believe that if he does it, it is not okay. But if they do it, they had a reason.
Well, the other thing that I've found, and again, this is me talking about Democrats, and I would have to say a little bit of bias, slight, right? Or
Well,
just a slight
you know
bit
what?
of bias.
We've earned it. Holy
But-
moly.
The Democrats tend to blame you for everything they do.
Yes.
So if they're blaming you for it, that means they've already done it,
Yeah.
and they stretch that out in every way they want to go.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting election, especially with RFK in it. And, you look at RFK at this point, there was some talk about him drawing from both and maybe hurting Trump. His latest stands are so far left.
Oh, I know.
There's just no doubt who he's going to draw from.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt Biden like no one's ever hurt Biden.
Right.
So if he's the next candidate, and I'm not all sure that's going to happen either.
And every time I look at him or hear him speak, he looks scared to death.
I'm going to say something that'll get me in more trouble. His wife needs to be charged with elder abuse.
Really?
The man, unfortunately, is incompetent most of the time, and it's not his fault. He's suffering from dementia
Yeah.
at some level,
Yeah.
and they're propping him up. Someone's making decisions for him, and it's not him. But his wife is accountable as his nearest relative.
Exactly.
And if she's letting him this happen to him, my reaction is
And you know what? A lot of people feel that way. I have had a lot of people tell me that. And I have a friend who says he's very evil. And but she said the fact is that he has to be that way because his wife expects so much from him. Well, that could be true. I mean,
I think Joe Biden has always been evil and always been
Yeah,
wrong. He
yeah.
has both those things together with him.
yeah.
I mean,
And let's face it, they like being where they are. So
well, they do. I mean, that's a power issue, and that's
It
exactly
is.
what this is.
Yeah.
It's a control. It's a power control issue. Whereas you look at Trump, whether you like his tweets or not, but the way I balance it, do you like mean tweets and good policy, or a nice guy and terrible policy?
Exactly.
Which one do you live with?
I know. This is what I tell everybody.
If you don't like the tweets, don't read them.
Exactly. And our country does not fail on personalities. We fail on policies, folks. So,
You know what-
you just don't listen to him if you don't like what he says.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of that goes back to 1960 with the Kennedy and Nixon campaigns. For the first time, they broadcast the debates.
Yes.
And if you listened to the debate, you thought Nixon blew it away. If you watched the debate, JFK walked out of there as the king of the hill.
Oh, yes.
Because Nixon looked dirty, disheveled, and uncomfortable.
Right.
And Kennedy looked terrific, but at the other side, Nixon had the substance. So unfortunately, it's a lot of what we see and not what we should be listening and processing.
I have always said it's all in the presentation
Mm-hmm.
and what comes out of the presentation. And that is what Donald Trump does for us. Because when he states something, he backs it. And that's why we're in much better shape when he's in charge than anyone else.
The best way to say it, are you better off, 4 years ago than you are today? And that's not hard.
I know, but I know people who will not admit to that.
They can't, because they would admit that they were wrong.
Yeah.
I want to meet the 40% of the people that say they're better off today than they were.
I do
I want to
too.
meet these people because, either you live a multi-billionaire somewhere and you really don't care, or you don't have no clue what's going on around you.
Exactly.
Because anybody in their right mind, between the world affairs and between the economic affairs and the southern border in this county, no one in this country, no one can say we're better off than we were before with any kind of, not lying, let me rephrase that.
No, and I remember a guest that we had on the show, and I'm sure you do too, our friend Jonathan
Sure.
from Venezuela.
Ugasaki.
Yeah, who said that he watched things happening in our country happen just as they did in Venezuela. And this is what's going on, and it scares me to death.
I got a question for my host.
Okay.
I'll go a little bit different. Who do you think is going to be Trump's VP?
I wasn't sure. I mean, I just went to convention.
Right.
Okay.
I remember seeing you there.
Yeah. And we all heard from the gentleman who is the governor of North Dakota. Awesome
Governor Northam.
individual. Yep. And I think it could very well be him.
I think I agree with you.
I don't think it's going to be DeSantis.
Nope.
Because I think that there was a little bit of a pressure pull there not too long ago, and I don't think that either one of them would be comfortable working together.
Again, my only concern for whoever number 2 is that given the president's age, and that goes for both sides of the house,
Sure.
and given the stress that President Trump has been under,
Yep.
and I hate to say this, but the left has been known to pull a trigger, and I don't wish anybody shot ever,
No.
but you need a number 2 that's ready to walk in and take over in case, for whatever reason, the president is not able to do his job.
Exactly, because we do not have that right now.
No, we do not, and certain vice presidents that we have on even on our side are not ready to do that. The learning curve is too big.
Yes.
But Northam is a good choice. DeSantis would be a
is.
good choice. I thought Noem was a good choice till Miss Noem decided to write a book
I know.
and destroy herself with a book. And she did do a job on herself with a book. Nikki Haley's out of it. I don't,
No.
she's over there signing bombs. And, and Scott is a possibility out of Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I like him and all, but I have to say I was really impressed last weekend.
Well, again, the difference is Scott, for example, is a legislator. Governor Northam is an administrator. He's an executive branch person. He has to actually do things. Legislators
Exactly.
just write laws and they go back and watch
Right.
someone else take care of it.
Yep,
So
yep.
they're sitting there ready to roll out whatever they got to do to make it happen. So I think your decision is probably a good one. We won't know till July
I know.
when that whole 5-day period kicks up, and they get together in Milwaukee, and they make some decisions.
Yep.
But I understand. Do you hear that Michigan is changing the rules?
And I did. And would you explain to our audience exactly how that is going to happen?
The Democratic Party, in their infinite wisdom, was so busy accolading everything, they forgot that when they schedule everything, if everything stayed the way it was, Biden would not be eligible to run in Michigan on the ballot. Now, they just missed it. They just, they scheduled it wrong. Now, keep in mind, in case you don't know that as someone just entering politics, the way political parties decide when your convention is, whoever's in the White House goes second. So if you're in the White House, your convention's in August. If you're trying to get in the White House, your convention's in July. So that's why the Republicans this year there. But the Democrats scheduled it late enough in August to cause other issues with other primaries and things going on. So the last thing I read is they're finding a way to do a virtual video to get him approved so he can be on the ballot in Michigan. So, yeah. And I don't disagree with the fact that he needs to be on the ballot. I don't want to see anybody off the ballot anywhere. When they tried to get Trump off the ballot in a number of states, and finally the Supreme Court said you can't do that.
Exactly.
So I don't disagree he should be on the ballot. And if it's a clerical error or it's on because of stupidity, then fix it.
Exactly. And let's not mess with the Constitution. I mean, all this goings on, we need to leave some things as they are, for heaven's sake. I heard something else very interesting. It was suggested that Trump be nominated prior to a particular date in case it stated that he wouldn't be able to.
Well, the debate over the 14th Amendment is going to be interesting
Exactly.
because, in theory, in the 14th Amendment, you can't be president if you're a convicted felon.
Right.
Now, there is some discussion that was aimed at Confederates, and not a general. But
Right.
that's a decision that lawyers and Supreme Court judges have to make, not for one little old chair in Brunswick County. So, not my territory. I get enough trouble without making national decisions.
Well, what I got out of that was the fact that it is there, it's come out, it's been brought out, and so it's going to end up being another issue. Because they keep bringing them up.
Look,
one right
that's
after
why the word
other.
convicted felon keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep labeling him with that. And I honestly, when you talk about what the sentence is going to be, there are basically three ways they can go. They can give him a fine slap, which I don't think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to send him to jail because first of all, the logistics of having Secret Service with him and blocking off a whole section of the wing so the Secret Service is there. Though you do know that there's a bill in Congress that a Democrats introduced that basically says if you're a convicted felon, you lose your Secret Service coverage.
Oh, really?
Now, the chances of it passing are about nil, but it has been introduced, and there's some Democrats supporting it. And, of course, it doesn't have Trump's name on it, but what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
As I said, one issue after the other.
so the big question is, does he get probation? And then does the probation tie him down to where he's sentenced to stay at home with do your sentence at home with one of those little things on your leg, or do you get probation and can't leave the state? So there's a lot of what could
There
happen.
are several ways they can do that.
Yep.
Yep.
But I though people are looking and saying that they want him in jail, I don't think anyone with half a brain wants to put him there on either side because the ramifications are just too inflammatory.
Oh, I know. But like I said, they will make sure that issues arise one right after the other. I mean, they're looking for them.
Well, what I don't understand is June 20th. That's the debate. I think that's the date of the debate. No candidate's been formally nominated yet.
I know. And so how is this going to work?
Well, you got three of them coming. My personal thought of it, I know Trump's there because he figures he can walk around all of them. But I really think it's a setup to try and to get rid of Biden.
Really?
Yeah, I personally don't think he's going to be the nominee when coming out of the convention.
Who do you think is going to be the nominee?
Now, that's a toss-up. You could have Newsom coming out of California. There are a couple others around the country that could step in and get involved. I know that there was some talk of Michelle Obama, but I don't think she will run. For the last polls show that she only gets about a 21% support rating. Hillary is over the hill and not far enough away.
Right.
And but there
God.
there are a couple of people out there on the Democratic side, including RFK, that are looking to take the job on. And I really the biggest issue is going to be, what do you do with Kamala?
True.
If he steps down, then isn't she the logical person to run to take over the next position? So they have a double issue. They got to figure out what to do with him, but before they can deal with him, they got to deal with her.
Exactly.
So I don't envy them in any way, shape, or form, but I definitely hope that the solution to the problem on the Democratic side is to elect Trump on the Republican side, because that takes care of all their issues. They don't have to worry about Biden. They don't have to worry about Kamala.
Or anyone.
They're all gone. They're all gone, and we take care of it. Oh, Buttigieg is another one that thinks he's putting his name up there.
And on that thought, folks, we're going to break and pay a couple more bills, and we shall return. Please stay with us.
That was an interesting time. That was good. That was fun.
What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you are a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everyone, to All Things Brunswick. Today we have with us Bill Moore, and we're having a great talk on elections, candidates, and municipalities.
Yep.
Wow, we've stretched it all over the place.
We haven't solved all the problems of the world yet, but
Not
give us
quite.
another hour, we probably could have.
Absolutely. We were talking about the upcoming debate, which is the 20th, on who we think might be there. Boy, that's, the way things are going, I have no idea. I have no idea anymore because you can't really even guess.
Well, I don't know why A, Trump signed up to do it, and B, why he agreed to let CNN run it.
I know.
But, the man is a brilliant man.
I know. He
I will
must
sit
have
back and
his
watch.
reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not doing it because he made a mistake. He's doing it for something in his head.
Yep. He has
Although
a
I have to
reason.
tell him the only mistake he made was the Libertarian Party.
Yes,
He should have went home to the Republican one in North
Yes,
Carolina.
he should have
He'd
come
been
to
welcomed
see
there.
us.
Yes. But he did make a mistake there with Libertarians.
Well, we saw Eric and Laura there.
And we heard Donald on the phone.
And yeah.
The Donald was there.
Yeah. And they are so personable. Rose was just thrilled.
Do you know what was interesting, though? Yvonne has finally come out and said something. She's been missing.
Really?
She came out just the other day, I love your dad, after he was convicted. But she and her husband have purposely set back and said, for whatever reason, they're raising their kids and staying out of it. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yes, it is.
And it's also interesting that Melania and Barron have kind of,
yeah.
he had to finish school, I guess, but it's over. So
What an interesting kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brilliant.
He is.
no, he's
Incredible.
brilliant. And his mother was brilliant, and so is his father.
Yes.
They're both brilliant kids.
Yes.
Adults, rather, kids.
Yep.
But can we take 2 minutes and talk about how important it is to vote?
Absolutely. That's a great way to end our show today.
Yes. People, you need to vote. Okay? We need everyone out there to vote. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors. Vote early, not often. Just once is good. But you need to get out there and vote. And part 2 of that is you need to vote the entire ballot.
All the way to the end.
Now, my recommendation is you flip the ballot over and you start at the end and work to the president. That way you get it all done.
Yeah.
But vote the entire ballot. There'll be plenty of things to help you. We'll be handing out slave cards if you need them. We need to turn out so many votes in Brunswick County that whatever tricks are being played won't matter.
Exactly.
We can beat them on pure voting.
Right.
So, but
And if you have not registered, you must register by October 12th in order to vote early voting or in the election. Now, you can register at the same time that you early vote. I would prefer that you go to the Board of Elections and register prior to that. However, in each municipality this year, we are going to try to have a voter registration day. It will be advertised. Please look for it. It'll be in an area that is well known, and for several hours with your precinct chair. And we will have any information that you wish to receive at that time as well. But make sure that you register, make sure that you vote. This election is so, so important. And I might add, if you would like to volunteer in any capacity, please come to the Republican headquarters at 971 Old Ocean Highway. Every Saturday we are here. We are selling some really unique stuff.
Trump paraphernalia.
Trump paraphernalia for the election.
And
Plus
those hours are, by the way, 10 to 3. So
10
you know
to
we're-
3. And then later on, we will be open more.
Yes, as we get closer to the election.
Right.
And when early voting starts, we'll be open 7 days, every
Yep.
day of early voting.
Yep.
But right now,
Yep.
Come and get your stuff, vote. We need you to vote. And we need you to get your friends to vote and your relatives to
Yes.
vote. And get out there and vote early. And the reason we say that is you get to the final day to vote, two things happen. Either you're sick,
Yep.
you don't like the line that's an hour and a half long, and you're going to go home and you're not going to vote. And the other thing, which is probably more important, traditionally Republicans have only voted on Election Day, and we end up opening up on Election Day down 1 million votes or 100,000 votes, nationwide, or maybe 100,000 votes in our state, because we tend to vote on that last day. So the first 100,000 votes is to catch up. So this way, if we start out strong and we take the lead and we finish strong, there's a whole different attitude than starting from behind.
Yes. Go early, get it done. You will sit down at home and relax and say, hey, I did my civic duty.
And if you want to work, first thing, if you want to work for the county to work actually at the polls. They're always looking for people.
Yes.
And they pay you some money to be there, not a whole lot of money, but you do get a payment, but you're there and you see what's going on. And we're very fortunate in Brunswick. We have a very good board of elections, but they're not perfect. Sometimes they make a mistake. The judge misses something or does something she or she shouldn't. And that's when our poll observers they catch it. And we make corrections and they fix it very quickly.
Yep.
And then you can also be a greeter, right?
Absolutely. We need folks outside handing out slate cards, giving literature, answering questions. So if you wish to volunteer, please get in touch with us.
And we're going to have a strong door knocking operation and phone banking this year. So if that's your forte and you want to do
Right.
that,
You
we'd
can
be
do
glad to have you
either.
there. Even if you want to help us put the packets together that we're going to hang on doors of those people that are not home, that when we come to knock on their doors, we need the help up and down the line. So
Right.
there's always something you can do.
Absolutely.
The last thing you want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to say, God forbid we lose this election, you say, well, I could have done this. No. You
No.
want to say you did everything you possibly could, and we want the right outcome.
Absolutely. Bill, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
And we shared all kinds of information with our audience.
And bring me
And-
back when you think it's important enough.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you wish to come back, if you want to share something, just let me know. And
And vice versa, if you think there's something you want me to talk about.
yeah.
Just give me a yell, and if
Okay.
the calendar
Well,
works, I'm
we
here.
would like to know how this ends up with your tax increase and your.
We'll have to watch what's
municipality.
happening in the next 2 months, whether
Yeah.
whether it becomes a thing for the election for November.
Right.
That will tell us a lot.
It will. Yes.
But and I'm going to give this real quick to people. When your people that you elect do what you want, you need to thank them.
Yes.
We elect a lot of great people in Brunswick, and they do a lot for us. But when they go out of their way, like Representative Eiler did, call his office and say thank you. You don't have to call his office and say, we want 10%, not 25%. Call his office and say thank you for listening.
Yes.
And thank you for supporting us. And they appreciate that, because all the time when they get a phone call, it's mostly because somebody wants something.
Right.
And it's nice occasionally to get a call saying thank you.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. And on that note, I want to thank our technician, TK. We can't do anything without him, folks. So, and please join us next week and for All Things Brunswick, and tell your friends about us. We do have our own page now, Facebook page, and if you would like to get in touch with me, please email me at allthingsbrunswick dot. I have to remember the dot. At gmail.com. Thank you, and join us next week.